Somewhere in a barn in Ohio, a garage in rural Pennsylvania, or a back lot behind a small-town gas station, there is almost certainly a genuine, drivable slice of automotive history sitting under a tarp for less than the price of a used smartphone. And, if that sounds impossible in an era when a brand-new economy car now averages over $50,000, and even mainstream classics have been sliding steadily out of reach for ordinary buyers. That's exactly why this story matters. Because while headline-grabbing muscle cars and pristine European sports cars have turned into 6- and 7-figure auction spectacles, a surprisingly wide and often overlooked category of genuinely restorable classics has quietly stayed affordable, some even getting cheaper in relative terms as the broader collector market cools. And that cooling is a real, measurable trend, not just a hunch, because Haggerty's own market data has recently flagged several once-hot collector categories as actively losing value. A shift that sounds worrying if you already own one of those cars as an investment. But for anyone looking to buy their first project, a cooling segment simply means better prices and less competition at auction. And understanding which cars still fall into that category in 2026, and more importantly, why, requires looking past nostalgia and into the cold mechanics of parts availability, community support, and market psychology. Because a classic car isn't cheap simply because it's old, it's cheap because enough of them were built that survivors remain plentiful, because the parts industry never stopped supporting them, and because, for one reason or another, the broader collector market hasn't yet decided to fall back in love. And the first car that belongs at the top of this conversation is the original air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle, a car so mechanically simple that generations of first-time restorers have used it as their entry point into the hobby. And the reason it remains cheap isn't mysterious. Volkswagen built more than 21 million of them across multiple decades and multiple continents, meaning survivors are genuinely everywhere. And a rough but complete project Beetle can still be found today for somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, sometimes less if you're willing to deal with real rust. And because the air-cooled flat-4 engine has no complicated emissions plumbing, no computer, and a design simple enough that an attentive owner with basic tools can rebuild one on a kitchen table, the labor costs that make most restorations painful stay dramatically lower than almost anything else on this list. But the cheap price tag comes with a real caveat that any honest documentary has to mention, because decades of harsh climates have eaten through floor pans and heater channels on a huge percentage of surviving Beetles. So the actual purchase price is often just the entry fee, and the real question becomes how much rust is hiding beneath the paint, which is precisely why buyers who take the time to inspect a Beetle properly before purchase, ideally with a flashlight and a magnet in hand to check for hidden filler over rotted metal, tend to walk away with dramatically better outcomes than those who don't, and moving from the humble to the genuinely fun to drive. The next entry on this list is the classic Chevrolet and GMC pickup truck built through the late 1960s and into the 1980s, commonly known by enthusiasts under the C10 and C20 designations, and these trucks occupy a strange and fortunate position in the collector market, because for years they were viewed as pure workhorses rather than collectibles, meaning huge numbers were simply used hard and discarded. But that same utilitarian reputation kept prices low for decades, even as the trucks themselves proved to be simple, tough, and endlessly adaptable. And today, a genuine project-grade C10 or C20 can still be found for roughly $3,000 to $7,000, depending on condition and region, a price that reflects both the truck's continued abundance and the fact that these vehicles were engineered from the start for easy field repair rather than delicate precision, which translates directly into lower restoration costs, and the aftermarket support for these trucks has genuinely exploded over the past decade as their popularity as project vehicles has grown, meaning everything from sheet metal to interior kits to complete drivetrain packages is now readily available off the shelf, a level of support that simply didn't exist for this segment 15 years ago, back when a rusted-out project truck was more likely to end up scrapped for its steel than lovingly restored. And that abundance of new manufacture parts is a critical detail for any restoration on a budget, because it means owners aren't forced into an endless, expensive hunt for increasingly rare used components, the way owners of more obscure classics often are. And speaking of vehicles with genuinely strong parts support, the MG deserves serious consideration for anyone drawn to small, simple, top-down sports cars rather than trucks or economy cars, because despite production ending in the early 1980s, the MGB benefits from one of the most robust specialty parts networks of any classic car built anywhere, to the point that complete new steel body shells have actually been manufactured and sold for these cars for years, meaning, in theory, an MGB restoration could start from literally nothing but a title and still be completed entirely with newly manufactured components. And Haggerty's own valuation data has placed clean, drivable MGBs from the late 1970s comfortably under $15,000 in good condition, with rougher project examples available for meaningfully less. And while the MGB's British electrical systems have earned a reputation, fair or not, as a source of endless minor frustration, the mechanical layout underneath is straightforward. A simple four-cylinder engine and manual gearbox that any moderately experienced home mechanic can learn to maintain without specialized training. And the sheer number of MGBs built across 2 decades of production means finding a decent starting point is rarely difficult, even if finding one without at least some rust around the sills and rear wheel arches often proves harder than buyers expect. And if trucks and small roadsters both appeal but neither quite hits the mark, the next entry brings genuine off-road capability into the conversation, because the Jeep CJ7, built through the late 1970s and into the mid-1980s, has recently landed on lists of classics actually losing value in a cooling, broader market, which sounds discouraging until you realize what that actually means for a buyer, because a segment of the market cooling down is precisely the moment prices become attractive for people looking to get in rather than cash out. And clean, drivable CJ7s have been trading in the range of roughly $15,000 or less, according to recent market data, with rougher project trucks available for considerably less than that. And unlike some of the more delicate classics on this list, the CJ7's body-on-frame construction, simple 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine options, and famously supportive Jeep restoration parts industry mean that even a truck with significant surface rust or interior wear can often be brought back with a manageable and predictable parts list rather than an open-ended treasure hunt. And there's also a cultural dimension worth mentioning here, because the CJ7 carries genuine off-road capability that many of its collector car peers simply don't, meaning a restored example isn't just a trailer queen destined for car shows, it's a vehicle that can still be taken out and genuinely used the way it was designed to be used, which matters enormously to buyers who want their restoration project to become a daily companion rather than a static museum piece, sitting under a cover and only coming out for the occasional weekend car show. And no conversation about affordable, restorable sports cars in 2026 would be complete without addressing the Mazda Miata, specifically the original NA generation built from 1989 into the late 1990s, a car that has quietly become one of the most beloved entry points into classic ownership precisely because Mazda engineered it from day one around simplicity, reliability, and low cost of ownership, borrowing design philosophy directly from small British roadsters like the MGB, while deliberately avoiding the electrical gremlins and constant maintenance headaches that plagued those older cars. And while Miata prices have climbed noticeably over the past several years, as their reputation for reliable, affordable fun has spread, project-grade and higher mileage examples can still commonly be found in the range of roughly $4,000 to $10,000. And the parts support situation for the Miata is arguably unmatched by anything else on this list, because the car's massive global enthusiast community, combined with Mazda's own continued support and a thriving aftermarket built around racing applications, means finding replacement parts, whether stock or performance-oriented, is rarely difficult and rarely expensive. And finally, rounding out this list, the earliest Ford Mustangs built between 1965 and 1973 deserve mention despite climbing well